Live from WQAD, this is News 8's Good Morning Quad Cities.
Friends and neighbors, the personal connections people in the Quad Cities are finding in the middle of devastation.
In the middle of the week, this is what it looks like live from our Eagle Eye in downtown Danforth. We get started on a Wednesday morning.
Thank you for joining us for our first look at the news. I'm Julie Sis.
I'm Jim Mertens. This is Good Morning Quad Cities at 4:30.
And I'm Cassie, filling in for James this morning.
Good to see you.
And it's really nice this morning, actually. Temperatures are a little cold, but yesterday it seemed like temperatures were a little bit colder at this time of the morning. Looking outside right now, things are very quiet. We are still looking at a partly cloudy sky, but as you can tell, we're going to notice increasing clouds as we go through the rest of the morning. So clouds will begin to lower and thicken. We even see a few raindrops showing up to our west, but we do have a pretty dry atmosphere in place. Dew points are only in the 20s, so this rain is going to have a hard time battling the dry air that's in place. So it may be a while before we actually start to see that rainfall here locally. Temperatures, it's pretty cold, but really not all too terrible. We're at 36 degrees right now. We do have a south to southeast wind at 12 miles per hour, so we probably have a little bit of a wind chill. We're currently at 37 in Muscatine, 34 in Savannah, 32 in Sterling. We'll talk about our rain chances later today and how warm temperatures will get in the afternoon.
All right, thanks, Cassie.
Well, we continue our coverage of the storms that hit Illinois on Sunday. News 8 has been in Washington all week. There are now 13 counties considered disaster areas after the storms. And tomorrow, FEMA will begin assessing some of the damage in those counties. Just in Washington, Illinois alone, an estimated 1,000 homes were destroyed or damaged. Some residents were able to return home yesterday after 2 days of waiting. Residents began picking through whatever was left.
They wouldn't let us back in here. We tried, and other people did too. And, you know, we had to get in here. We had valuables like everybody else.
6 people from Illinois were killed in Sunday's storms. One was from Washington. More than 100 others in Washington were hospitalized.
6 Galesburg firefighters were among the first on the scene Sunday after arriving just hours after the tornado hit. As part of the region's technical rescue team, the group answered a call for mutual aid and spent several hours combing through the wreckage, searching for anyone who might have been trapped and helping to make sure what is left is as safe as possible.
You start searching through a pile, and then next thing you know, what you thought was the basement, you're actually on the ground outside.
If this had happened in the middle of the night without warning, the devastation and the fatalities could have been far higher.
Galesburg firefighters spent yesterday training for the very type of disaster that took place on Sunday. They tell us they may be called back to Washington to help once again. People returning to their homes in Washington didn't have to do it alone.
They were joined by friends and neighbors, and as News 8's Brittany Lewis now reports, some from here in the Quad Cities dropped everything just to lend a helping hand.
If there was ever a time a person might need their best friend,
my best friend Dusty Dykema, this was his home.
It might be at a time like this.
I pulled into the wrong street. I had no idea where I was at. I was like, our house is gone.
This pile of debris is Dusty Dykema's home.
It's still not recognizable, honestly.
Dusty is originally from Bettendorf.
He built most of it from the inside himself, and now it's just wiped away.
Jay Foster still calls Bettendorf home. Tuesday, he drove to Washington with some supplies to help his best friend dig through the mess.
It's jaw-dropping. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Just around the corner, Galesburg firefighter Ben Johnson.
This was our front door.
Helping his aunt with what is left of her house.
We're mainly clearing out their basement, whatever we can grab that isn't filled with water or isn't damaged already.
His aunt.
Very sad, but happy.
Happy because her family is okay, but her photo albums nowhere to be found.
I don't have any pictures. They're all gone. And that makes me sad.
But just as we were saying goodbye to her,
The whole album.
Some of it. There's Mom and Dad. Look at that.
Oh my golly.
we also found Tammy Miller, originally from East Moline.
It looks like a war zone.
Her home in Washington is okay, so she's helping neighbors.
We take a day at a time and we're all pulling together.
The messages on garages say it all. Many here considering themselves lucky.
I couldn't have got much luckier.
Just look at his baby girl's crib, nearly untouched. And lucky, of course, for his best friend Jay.
And he says how many? I'll make sure we have that many here.
In Washington, Brittany Lewis, WQAD News 8.
Dusty was not home at the time of the tornado. He and his family were at church, something he says he is very grateful.
People from all over our viewing area came out to show their support for the American Red Cross. WQAD partnered with the Red Cross, collecting donations outside of our studios, and we want to thank all of you who dropped off whatever you could. We ended up raising nearly $13,500 for the Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. Red Cross volunteers in Galesburg also collected donations, and you can stop by that chapter's office this week from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. if you would still like to donate. Other ways to donate are posted at the top story right now at WQAD.com. Rock Island County's Animal Care and Control Center in Moline is asking for donations of pet supplies for those impacted by Sunday's tornadoes. Volunteers will drive them to Pekin next week. Those interested can bring donations to the shelter Monday through Friday between noon and 5 and noon to 4 this weekend.
The Washington High School football team is back on the practice field. The undefeated Panthers were back to practice yesterday at Illinois State University's field, preparing for their state semifinal game this weekend. 10 varsity players and an assistant coach lost their homes in Sunday's storm. Casey Danley, with other players, were on their way back from church when the storm hit and took cover in the school's locker room.
Heard the tornado go right by us, and we could feel the locker room shaking and everything. Yeah.
Scary.
It was real scary. Yeah. It was never experienced anything like it. I don't wish it upon anyone else.
Panthers take on Sacred Heart Griffin in Springfield on Saturday. The Monsters of the Midway left Chicago to head south and help one community's post-storm cleanup. 7 current and former Chicago Bears were among those who showed up at United Methodist Church to help Red Cross volunteers in Coal City, Illinois. The group unloaded trucks, delivered food, and met with families who lost everything.
I think it's great to be down here to help out. I mean, it really is. I mean, you have Bear fans down here that help support our careers and are very supportive of us. So for today, we're not worried about football. We're not worried about a game. We're not worried about game planning. We're really focused on trying to help a community out.
Bears kicker Robbie Gould held a charity event in Chicago Monday, says he'll donate all the proceeds from the event to the American Red Cross.
Employees of a Quad City nursing home say they are not being paid as their workplace suddenly shut down. Employees at Forest Hill in East Moline received letters yesterday telling them the nursing home was closing because of large financial losses. They were told not to expect paychecks until at least the end of the month or later. It conflicts with what employers say they were told first, that residents were being relocated so the place could be renovated.
My phone is shut off right now. I was expecting my check to get my phone on. I got house payments. I got a new grandbaby coming. I don't know if I'll be able to get anything for Christmas for that grandbaby.
All but a handful of Forest Hill residents were moved to other facilities in East Moline and Galesburg. By law, the state requires a 90-day notice of closure.
Rock Island County Board says it isn't ready to consider private operators for its struggling nursing home just yet. The county-owned nursing home could face a $2.5 million deficit by next year. But last night, board members voted down a request to gather proposals for Hope Creek Care Center's potential lease.
It's not what I expected. I'd have liked to see it go through because I think it's just another tool to help us ensure the survivability of Hope Creek.
Next November, the board will likely ask voters if they support a property tax increase to keep Hope Creek alive. That proposal would add about $80 in taxes to a $150,000 home.
The demolition of Audubon Elementary in Rock Island has been called off temporarily after crews found more asbestos. Construction crews started removal earlier this month, and now more asbestos means another $57,000 to pay for the removal. A special meeting to vote on the extra work and the cost is scheduled for tonight. Still ahead on Good Morning Quad City's top honors, the familiar face being called a hero.
Plus, following Iowa's lead, the same-sex marriage celebration set for today in Illinois.
And skies are quiet right now, but rain is on the way. When the rain will get here and what it will do to our temperatures coming up.
You're watching Good Morning Quad Cities with Jim Mertens and Julie Sisk.